Back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be giving out my picks for UFC on ESPN Plus number 9. We jump into the UFC middleweight division for a main event. We have Jacare Souza taking on Jack the Joker Hermansson. I want to take a closer look at the tail of the tapes here. We know that Jacare is coming off a huge win over Chris Weidman. Came up short against Kelvin Gastelum in the decision. A big TKO win over Derek Brunson by a head kick KO. Jack Hermansson on the other side is coming off a huge win over David Branch by submission in 49 seconds. Holds a submission victory over GM3 and also a big TKO victory over Thylus Latis. We seen the Joker have trouble with Thiago Santos, and also he got subbed by Cesar Ferreira by submission arm triangle choke. So we know that if Jacare could get it down to the ground, it could also happen to him here. He could get subbed again. I think that Jacare is by far one of the best submission fighters in all of the UFC. So if Cesar Ferreira could get him down on the ground and sub him, why can't Jacare? You know what I mean? We know that Jack Hermansson is the younger fighter by 9 years. He's 30 years old. Jacare is 39, so he has less miles on him. Jack Hermansson has great footwork, which could frustrate Jacare. So if Jacare can't land those big overhand rights due to the footwork of the Joker, it could really frustrate him. The Joker, conditioning, he might just have better conditioning than Jacare. Jacare, he tends to get tired during, in the later rounds, third and the end of the second round. It's kind of breathing heavy. But we yet to see, the Joker go 5 rounds. So it's a very tough fight to call here. But I got to be leaning towards the veteran, the guy with the higher quality wins, who's been around the game a lot longer. So I got to go with Jacare getting it done. For him to beat a guy like Chris Weidman, even though he's 39 years old, just shows how much fight he still has left in him. I got to go with Jacare getting it done here. Tough fight to call, though. You got the youth versus the vet, and my pick would be Jacare. So I want to talk about the UFC heavyweight division. We have Greg Hardy returning off a disqualification loss to Alan Crowder. He's taking on Dimitri, the lifeguard here. We've seen Dimitri compete in the UFC 2 times. He came up short both times. He got TKO'd by Asker, and he got submitted by Henrique. So both of his outings in the UFC hasn't really looked good. We've seen Greg Hardy compete in the Dana White Contender Series, where he looked phenomenal knocking out guys. So my pick here, I got to go with Greg Hardy, the former football player. I think his speed would be too much for this guy. His power would be too much. He's very athletic to be a heavyweight, and it'll play a role here for the victory. I got to go with my boy Greg Hardy getting it done. I want to jump into the UFC welterweight division. We have Alex, the Cowboy Oliveira, taking on the Platinum Mike Perry. Tough fight here to call, but I'm leaning more towards Alex Oliveira here. We know that Alex Oliveira's ground game is pretty good, even though he got exploited by Gunnar Nelson, busted him open pretty bad and got the rear naked choke. Mike Perry also is coming off a submission loss. His loss was due to Donald the Cowboy Cerrone. But Alex Oliveira, submission game isn't bad. He holds 4 submission wins. He tapped out Carlos Condit. That's a tough task to complete because Carlos Condit is definitely a very good fighter off his back. We've seen him TKO Ryan Flair, which is a strong wrestler, and beat Tim Means, and also a Bellator former lightweight champ, Will Brooks. We know that Mike Perry even though he's coming off of his loss, he's a young fighter. He has a lot of room to improve, and I think that's what he's been doing. He's been improving. He held a big win over Paul Felder, but he's lost to Max Griffin, and he also lost to Alan Jubain. I think that the Brazilian Cowboy could beat those top guys. You know what I mean? So my pick here is to go with a guy with more experience. The names. Um, I gotta go with the Brazilian Cowboy, Alex Oliveira, getting it done. As we move down into the fight card, we want to talk about a UFC light heavyweight division. A fight that I'm very excited to watch. We got Glover Teixeira taking on the Hulk, Ion Cutelaba here. One thing that stands out to me right off the bat is the age difference. Glover Teixeira, he's 39 years old. He really hasn't been looking that good, even though he's coming off a big win over Carl Robertson. Carl Robertson took that fight on short notice, and he pretty much almost knocked the head over Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira somehow survived, and he got the big takedown and gets his arm triangle choke. Um, but on this fight, I don't see this happening. I think if he gets hurt by the Hulk is for sure to put him away. Glover, to me, he lost to Corey, and he holds a big win over Misha Serkinov, but I think that I just think that Cutelaba would be too much for him. The speed difference, and I think Glover would get clipped and maybe get knocked out in the first round. I just think Glover, he's just slow now, man. He ain't the same guy. You know what I mean? Anything's getting worse. He had his time. He fought for the title. He had his time to shine. Now he's pretty much going to get washed out. In a vision in my eye, I think this would be the perfect guy to get rid of him, and that's why they're throwing him out there. The Hulk should get it done. So therefore, I'm going with our boy Cutelaba getting it done. As we jump into a big fight here, Corey Sandhagen taking on John Lineker. Wow, tough fight here to call. Corey Sandhagen, I'm a big fan of his fight style. Very clean, stand up, very technical. I love the way he throws his little body shot hook. John Lineker on the other side is coming off a 2-fight win streak. We know that John Lineker has the experience. He has the high-quality names on his record. He fought Marlon Vera, beat Brian Kelleher, lost to Dillashaw, beat Dodson, TKO, Michael McDonald, beat Rob Font. Man, I mean, one thing that stands out to me is the height difference. I mean, you got a 5'3" dude taking on someone's 5'11". The reach advantage goes to Corey Sandhagen here. We haven't yet to see Corey Sandhagen test it. I mean, he beat Alcantara, and he came off a big win by submission in the first round, where he subbed Batista and TKO'd Austin Arnett. But these guys aren't on the level of John Lineker. I know Lineker's a lot more shorter, but he has the experience. He's 31-8. You know what I mean? He's been around the game for quite a while. With that all being said, I got to go with the veteran, the guy with more experience, who's been around longer, who's fought, former champs like TJ Dillashaw. I just got to go with John Lineker getting it done here. As we move into another fight, we jump into the UFC lightweight division. A highly anticipated prospect. We got Roosevelt Roberts here from the Dana White Contender Series 7-0, taking on Thomas Gifford, the young lion, making his debut into the UFC. We just don't know how Thomas Gifford is going to do with all this pressure, making his debut into the UFC, and especially taking on a very, very high talented Roosevelt Roberts. He's hyped up, and he has a good reason to be hyped. Have all this hype around him. I mean, three TKOs and four submission victories. Big win over Daryl Horcher. That says a lot. Daryl Horcher's a tough guy. You know what I mean? Daryl Horcher was a dude who had to step up on short notice and take on a tough guy like Habib. You know what I mean? So I got to go with Roosevelt Roberts getting it done against the young lion. He has the experience. He has more fights than Roosevelt Roberts, but he hasn't made it to the big show yet, and we don't know how he's going to take that pressure. We go Roosevelt Roberts getting it done. I want to talk a big fight here into the welterweight division. We have the return of Killer B, Ben Saunders, taking on a fighter making his debut into the UFC from Japan, Takashi Sato. I like Ben Saunders getting it done here. We know Ben Saunders on a 2-fight losing streak, but I think this is a perfect fight for him to get back in the winning column. You know what I mean? Um, Ben Saunders getting TKO by Lyman good. He didn't have his best performance. He didn't look too good. Also losing to submission by Sergio Moraes, but Ben Saunders, he fought in Bellator. He's fought in the UFC. He holds big wins over guys like Joe Riggs, big wins over Corey McGee, tough dudes like Jake Ellenberger. We haven't yet to see Takashi compete in the UFC. Who knows how he's going to do with the pressure, like I said, and you know what I mean, making his debut. He has a lot of eyes on him. We don't know how he's going to be able to do under the big lights. With that being said, we want to go with the veteran who's been around the game for a while, and we got to go with Killer B, Ben Saunders getting it done. I want to talk about a big heavyweight showdown. We got Andre the Pitbull Arlovski taking on a former Bellator heavyweight fighter, Augusto Saki. Right off the bat, I like Saki getting it done. He looked good against Chase Sherman. Andre Arlovski on the other side, he's 39. I mean, he's 40 years old now, man. The dude is coming off a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to Shamil. He lost to Evasa, Wall Harris. That was turned to a no contest, but I think Pitbull needs to hang it up now, man. I think he's just too old. You know what I mean? Too many miles. He's been knocked out too many times. You know what I mean? Look at his record. The dude's been TKO 10 times. You know what I mean? His chin is gone. I got to go with the younger, fresher fighter. I got to go with my boy who I watched grow up in the Bellator cage and turn into a UFC fighter. A man who competed against top names like Cheick Kongo and Bellator that gave him his only first loss. I got to go with Sakai getting it done. As we talk about another fight here, want to talk about a women's strawweight fight. Verona making her debut against Carla Esperanza. We know Carla. She's been around the game for a while. Fought Joanna. Big win over Rose Namajunas. She had a tough fight against Claudia Gladea. So she lost to Tatiana Suarez. But Carla's a tough girl, man. She got the experience going into this fight. Verona's making her debut. I just like the veteran getting it done. I got to go with the Cookie Monster eating this chick up, getting it done. As we jump into another fight, we have Gilbert Burns taking on Mike Davis. Mike Davis competed in the Dana White Contender Series, but he's actually making his debut here into the UFC against a tough guy like Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns coming off a big win over Mercier from Canada, a guy who competed in the Ultimate Fighter season. I like Gilbert Burns getting it done here. I think the experience is going to play a big role here in this fight. Like I said, he beat OAM. That's a tough guy to beat. We know he lost to Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker's a tough striker, a long rangey dude. I like, yeah, man. I gotta go Gilbert Burns getting it done, man. He's been in the UFC for a while now, and this dude Mike Davis is he's just making his debut, and that's a tough task to complete. Fighting a tough guy like Gilbert Burns on your debut. We've seen Mike Davis fight against Sadiq Yusuf, lost a decision, so he's fought UFC caliber guys. But I like Gilbert Burns getting it done. So that's what we're gonna do. We go Burns here. So let's move forward and talk about another fight on the card at lightweight. We got Jim Miller taking on Jason Gonzalez. Jason Gonzalez, you know, he was a competitor of a season of the Ultimate Fighter. He's been inactive for a while now. The last time Jason Gonzalez competed was on September 16th, uh, 2017. So he really hasn't been active. Jim Miller on the other side, we know he's been active. He's coming off of a loss, Charles Oliveira by submission. He got a big win against Alex White where he subbed him in the first round. Jim Miller's the older fighter, by only 2 years, but he has a lot more experience than Jason Gonzalez. I got to go with Jim Miller just for the fact that he's been around the game for a very long time. He's seen it all. And he's been more active than Jason Gonzalez. So therefore, I go with a vet, Jim Miller getting it done. I want to talk about Angela Hill versus Jody Esquibel. Quick pick. I don't want to waste too much time on this fight. But if I have money on the line, I got to go with Angela Hill, putting it into her 2-fight losing streak, getting it done against Jody here. Last fight on the card that I want to talk about is the first fight on the card. Court the Crusher McGee taking on Diego Lima, the brother of Douglas Lima from Bellator. Tough fight here to call. We know that Diego Lima is coming off a big win over Chad Laprice. He TKO'd him in the first round. But we know that Diego Lima, he has tough times with the grapplers. He lost to guys like Yoshin Ukami and Jesse Taylor, guys who could grind. And Jesse Taylor is kind of similar to Corey McGee. Corey McGee is a grinder for sure. Corey McGee just beat Alex Garcia, who had a lot of hype around him. He grinded him out. The pace that Corey McGee keeps, he just breaks people and overwhelms them. I just got to go with Corey McGee, man. I mean, he holds a win over Robert Whitaker. Some people would disagree that he won that fight. But, I mean, he keeps a pace up where he breaks people. And if Diego Lima keeps giving up a takedown, I mean, how can't the Crusher crush this man? We going with the Crusher, Corey McGee, getting it done here. So, yeah, man, go ahead, like and subscribe, comment, tell me what you guys think about this fight card, and let me know some of your picks. But yeah, this was my picks for this weekend's card. So thank you guys for watching. From yours truly, I'm on out of here. Yes, sir.